Board meeting of the Ambridge Area School District Board of Directors on Wednesday, October 16, 2019 is now called to order. Please rise for the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This meeting is being recorded for district purposes. It is or may be published in part or in its entirety on the district's website without the express written permission of the meeting participants. The opinions expressed by any member of the public do not necessarily reflect the view or opinion of the Ambridge Area School District Board of School Directors or the Ambridge Area School District. They are solely that of the speaker. The Ambridge Area School District Board of School Directors hereby expressly disclaims any and all responsibility for liability or false or defamatory or slanderous statements expressed by the speaker. May I have a roll call, please?
Mrs. Fisher? Here. Mrs. Kehoe?
Here.
Mr. Cowell?
Here.
Mrs. Locker? Mrs. Mylan?
Here.
Ms. Pedigo?
Here.
Mr. Sass?
Here.
Mr. Weir?
Here.
Mr. Angus?
Here.
8 present.
Thank you. Sunshine law, please.
Section 708 of the Sunshine Law permits agencies to hold executive sessions to discuss employment and personnel matters, labor relations, and arbitration matters, purchase or lease of real estate up to the time an option or agreement is obtained, litigation or potential litigation, legal matters subject to attorney-client privilege, and other agency business which, if discussed in public, would violate lawful privilege or would violate confidentiality laws. The Board of School Directors held executive sessions on Wednesday, October 9th and Wednesday, October 16th to discuss employment and personnel matters, salary schedule and labor relations, matters subject to attorney-client privilege.
Thank you. Is there any correspondence
No
this evening?
correspondence.
All right, at this time, can I have a motion to accept or correct the minutes of the September 11th meet and discuss non-voting meeting and the September 18th board meeting?
So moved.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Weir. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. At this time, may I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report dated September 2019?
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Weir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Cowell. Is there any discussion on the treasurer's report? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Are there any amendments or changes to this evening's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move forward. Recognition and presentation this evening.
Mr. Ward?
Good evening. It's my pleasure to be able to introduce one of our truly invested members of our Ambridge Area High School staff. This teacher just completed 2 days of intensive AP training last Friday and Saturday. And it is my honor to introduce the sponsor for our mock trial and Interact Club, Ms. Christine Briel.
Interact. I'll have two of my Interact kids come up. So I've been a Rotarian now for about 10 years, and it's a great pleasure to now serve as our Interact sponsor as well. It's a big service club. It's sponsored by Ambridge Rotary, and the goal of Interact is solely for service. So Carlina Powell and Haley Precipio will tell you a little bit about what we're doing right now.
Well, the next thing that's coming up is going to be our Halloween event. So we're going to be planning that and hopefully getting as many people to come through as possible. An ongoing thing we've been doing is having us volunteer for Rotary events. We are also going to be doing this event where we're going to make the letters for kind, and we're going to be taking pictures as like the letter I to try to spread kindness. We have Santa Land coming up, which is another common thing, and another is the annual basket auction.
So today, a couple of us actually went to an Interact conference at Green Tree, and Xander also went, and excuse me, I went, and it was great to see how the other Interacts work and maybe how they organize things and what they do in their community to help out. Another thing that I had a great opportunity to attend to is RILA, which is the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, and this was just, it happened this past summer in June, and it was thanks to our Ambridge Rotary and also our Interact Club to allow me to go. So at this camp, it was like a week-long camp, we learned about ourselves and also each other. We learned about leadership and how we can help each other out to also become a leader themselves. And it really just followed the Rotary motto, service above self. So what that is being a leader, but also being a servant. So you put yourself after everybody else, I'm sorry, and put others before you. And so through workshops and speakers that came in, we learned about that, and it was just all revolved around it. And when the final day came, we actually had an award ceremony, and I actually got an award. I got the Transformational Leader Award, and this was given in recognition to a relational leader that strives to help others and help others grow while fostering their growth and leadership and personal development, and exemplifies the motto of service above self. So I think Rotary and Interact are something that's very important in our community, and I'm glad to have everybody's support.
Thank you.
Now, Kim Recipio is also the sponsor in mock trial, which I've had the pleasure of serving as our mock trial coach since 2001, and Kim has been with the last 5 years. So it's pretty awesome. We have some pretty spectacular kids, and we have Jeremiah Giordani and Xander Dowland. Come on. Tell them what you do.
As Ms. Brula just mentioned, my name is Jeremiah Giordani, and I'm here with Xander Dowland. And tonight we would like to briefly inform the board about Mock Trial. Mock Trial is a club that brings together rhetorical skills, theatrics, and public speaking in a very real-world application, the courtroom. Students who participate have the opportunity of taking on roles as attorneys and witnesses, and then we compete against other schools. The competition takes place in the Beaver County Courthouse with an actual judge presiding over the case and actual attorneys serving as members of the jury. Not only does mock trial teach students important courtroom skills, it also develops many skills that are transferable to other areas of education. For example, students learn speech writing, debate, and public speaking, which can all benefit the students' education, specifically in communication and English classes. We would like to thank the board for its continued support for the program, and we look forward to participating this year and in many years to come. Thank you.
Thank you. Beaver County Bar sponsors our participation in this. It's a $150 fee per team, and they pay our fee. That's how much the Bar Association of Beaver County supports the program, and they also support scholarships. Mr. Fast, the youngest, won one of the scholarships this past year. And we have nothing to do with that. The kids submitted without our even discussion on it. All we do is hand them an application. They choose to apply, and whether or not they receive it is totally up to the bar. And they base it on what they see from the kids in their application. And they remember the kids, and it's wonderful that all of our county judges are so supportive of it. So
I have a question. Can you give me, and it doesn't have to be exact, an approximate amount of time that you spend preparing these kids for this?
well, the case is released in November 1st, and we start the competition in mid-January. So in a month and a half prep time, we are working with the kids, 2 hours a day, multiple days a week, sometimes on the weekends, depending on the attorney schedule. Bob Taylor has been our attorney. Honorable Judge Knafel has been our attorney sponsor in years past. And so based on their time and how much they have available for us, they meet with us. Mr. Taylor's been kind enough to come after school. That's been most convenient for the kids to practice with them. He's also offered his office. There have been weekends and whatnot that he's made arrangements for us to just meet in his office and work with the kids, because the attorneys have to participate and teach them the law, because you have to have those rules of evidence. You have to follow the courtroom decorum. One time a phone went off, and for those of you that know, the Honorable Gus Quietus, who is an Ambridge grad of years past, flipped out to the point that the kids were freaked out, we were freaked out, and yelled at the parent who left their phone on and told them how much they disrespected the children and how dare they disrespect the children and all that they do. I've never heard him yell, and I was terrified. And just him, but that's how much they emphasize the program, and it's pretty amazing. And we have several kids who are Ambridge graduates who are now attorneys that participated in the program. Andy Bosch, Jared Wachtel, Mallory Reed is, I don't know if she's finished, but she should be close to finishing law school at this point. Those are the ones I can recall right off the top of my head and have come back and participated in some manner. Ted Knable as well. Participated in some manner in the mock trial program, or offered help or cheering on the sidelines or whatnot. So it's a pretty neat thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, district residents may come forward to comment on agenda items only. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each resident will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. This period for public comment prior to the standing committee reports will be limited to 1/2 hour. Although not required, board members desiring to address questions or concerns may do so after the resident's comment or question or at the conclusion of the committee reports. There will still be an opportunity for residents to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District under old and new business at the end of the meeting. So at this time, the floor is open for anything that's on this evening's agenda.
Go ahead.
Excuse me. Good evening, board and officials and administration. My name is Andre Huff. I am a very grateful employee of the Ambridge Area School District. I am what am I? Night watchman / custodian / Now, in my tenure here, I've never been at a board meeting, so because I'm always working at night, so I don't know the procedure. I didn't expect to stay this long as I am here right now, and frankly, I'll probably hear about it because I'm supposed to be at work. But as one of my heroes is Clark Gable, frankly, I don't care. So in this, I want to tell you, grateful is what I'm trying to come at you and let you know. Most of you, or a few of you know that recently I lost my father last week or week before last, and I'm going through an emotional state of mind right now. Well, in doing that, I am also wanting to let you know such people as Mr. Kowal, Ms. Kehoe, Brother Sass. These are folks that were here that took a chance on me 12 years ago and hired me, not knowing me from this area because I'm not, I'm a Philadelphian. But now I am a Bridger all day, all night. But I just wanted to let you know that I am very grateful for you taking a chance on me, and not to mention, to mention Duke Bellich, because at that time, he wanted to hire, he was liking to hire veterans, of one I am which, a Navy veteran. So I thank him up above, I think he's up there, for y'all taking the chance on me and letting me have my tenure here. Things have come to my knowledge that my particular brand of, let's say, behavior that I will not discuss in this open forum like this right now has been questioned. And due to that simple fact that when my pop died, and I remember him saying, a black man only has his reputation and his character. And I hope that I have represented myself and the Ambridge Area School District in the best way possible. But there are things that have come to light that is going to have me, how would you say my time is up here. I think my behavior, my things are not here any longer. So I'm going to put in my papers for retirement come February with a heavy heart, because I learned and got to love a lot of this district, knowing how we do things. And I just want to say to all of you, thank you.
before you go, I would just like to say, before I became a board member, I was a parent first in this school and at Highland. And I will vouch for Dre and say you will not find a better man. And I really appreciate that he cares about the kids the way he does. And anybody that is out to say anything different, I would like them to come see me, because I have a problem with it.
Thank you.
Anyone else on the agenda items?
I just had a question. So at the meet and discuss last week, I watched the video because I was out of town, so I was on catch up. And one of the things that you're voting on tonight is that energy savings project. And I know the question was asked about that project, like what is it? Is this the same one that we did the whole presentation on in the summer, and we watched the presentation where they talked about all the schools? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And, okay, so when we did that presentation, we're bidding out again for this? Is that what's up?
It
on
was
it?
never bid. That was just a preliminary discussion regarding the project. All we're doing right now is sending out requests for people who want to manage that project and develop the scope for that project.
With this same company or other companies to do what that
No, it can
company
be any
did?
company that wants to do it.
Okay, and so my question is, I know that it says in here that it won't cost us anything to do any of that, you know, until you decide on that, which is fine. Who's going to be making sure whoever's doing it is overseeing? Because that's gonna cost us time and money. And then any of those things that came up in that presentation that we watched, have any of those issues been addressed?
I'm
Like
not-
moving forward?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So-
We're just looking for a company to come in and develop the scope for the project. And then you would seek financing to do whatever you decide the scope's going to be.
Okay, so you're just gonna bid that out, and then once that comes, then you're going to make an offer of if you're going to do that or not do that?
The board would have to decide the
That's
level of
right.
the scope, yes.
Okay, and so, and then going back to my question again, when we did this whole presentation on this, and they brought up situations that could save us money, have those issues been addressed?
That's what
In
this
the
is, that's what
process.
this is about. We would make that part of this project. to
Those
address
items
those
weren't
issues.
budgeted for, so
Right,
no.
but the things that they brought up, you didn't have to budget for, like turning off the lights in buildings to save energy, that doesn't cost anything.
No, they were talking about control systems so that they shut off properly, to upgrade the lighting to maybe LED lighting, those types of things all cost money.
Right.
So
and
that's
turning-
what this project's about.
Okay, but again, turning off the lighting and having all of those things, have any of
Well,
that been addressed?
I mean, obviously, we turn off lights now, and most of this building is censored, so if it's not being used, the lights do go off. But it's talking about upgrading other systems too, heating systems, separating water systems into two different systems so that it's more energy efficient. So there's a lot of things involved in that project.
Right, and I get that, I just wanna be clear that we're not wasting time of employees walking somebody around
No.
to do things that we could be maintaining on a regular basis.
No. I don't feel that that's happening.
Okay, well, if I have questions later when that comes up, I'll.
Sure. Anyone else with anything on the agenda this evening? If not, we'll move forward with the committee reports. Education and Technology, Mrs. Pedigo, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Tonight, I'm going to move for the adoption of items 1 through 3 under Education and Technology, please.
I have a motion on the floor for items 1 through 3. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Weir. Is there any discussion on items 1 through 3? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mr. Koval?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mr. Weir?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, under Finance and Budget, Mr. Sass, please.
Thank you. Items 1 through 3 are traditional monthly items presented to the board. I make a motion to accept items 1 through 3.
I have a motion for items 1 through 3 under Finance and Budget. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Mr. Kowal. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mr. Koval?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Ms. Pedigo?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mr. Weir?
Yes.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Building and Grounds, Mr. Kowal, please.
I look for the adoption of item number 1.
I have item number 1, a motion for item number 1 under Building and Grounds. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion on item number 1?
I think it's just important for the public to know that this is part of the administration thinking outside of the box. So that's kind of what we worked on during our budgeting workshops, to take steps forward, to be able to think of things that we can do as an organization to find savings and create efficiency and effectiveness. So, I think that there's a couple of firms that do this. The presentation that we watched was from ABM. But I also have been talking to other school board directors in other districts, and a lot of them have adopted these things and contracted these things, and they're seeing significant savings. So, I just want to commend the administration for that, but also make sure public understands that this is one of those steps forward for us to at least put our feelers out to see what else can we do for the health of the school district.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions under item number 1? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kowal?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Ms. Pettigo?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mr. Weir?
Yes.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Athletics, Mrs. Fisher?
Nothing to report this evening.
Thank you. Public Relations is currently still open, and there's nothing to report, so we'll move on to steering and rules. Mrs. Keegan.
I'd like to move for the adoption of items 1 through 11.
I have a motion for items 1 through 11. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Kowal. Any discussion on items 1 through 11? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kowal?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Ms. Pettigo?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mr. Weir?
Yes.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Legislative, Mrs. Kehoe again, please.
I'd like to move for the adoption of item number 1.
I have a motion for item number 1 under legislative. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. Is there any discussion on item number 1? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Kehoe?
Yes.
Mr. Kowal?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Ms. Pettigo?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mr. Weir?
Yeah.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Salary schedule and labor relations, there is nothing this evening. Personnel, in Mrs. Locker's absence, Mr. Weir, will you please take that?
Absolutely, Mr. President. Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity. I would move to adopt items 1 through 7.
Okay, I have a motion on the floor for items 1 through 7 under personnel. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Mylan. Is there any discussion on items 1 through 7? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Fisher?
Yes.
Mrs. Keough?
Yes.
Mr. Kowal?
Yes.
Mrs. Mylan?
Yes.
Ms. Pettigo?
Yes.
Mr. Sass?
Yes.
Mr. Weir?
Yes.
Mr. Angus?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Anything from the solicitor this evening?
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Dr. Welter?
To report.
Okay. Old and new business. It is now time for old and new business. Any district resident who desires to comment on any business relevant to the Ambridge Area School District should now come forward. Each person must state their first and last name and address prior to speaking. Each person will be allowed 3 minutes and can speak only once. So the floor is now open for any items within the school district. Guys are making this real easy. Is nobody for anything? If not, then I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Thank you, Mr. Weir. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mrs. Fisher. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We're adjourned.